All right, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks very much for tuning in. So I'm outside, people. Yeah, so you might be hearing some noise, sound of the birds chirping, and all these sort of noise that you might hear coming from the outside. All right. Before we go any further, I'm just gonna ask you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. So the athletes basically pretty much wanting all the armchair coaches to shut up. All right. And why do they say that? They say that because from time to time, the persons on YouTube, or whether they're in the comment section or they are podcasters, they tend to give their technical review of what the athletes should do, what they can do in order to improve, in order to do this, in order to do that. But the athletes are really not having it. But it goes to show that they're listening to these things, you know what I mean? And I'm certain that even though they might find some of the comments critical, I'm certain that is a possibility that they would have somehow probably find it interesting or something so useful that they could have used as a part of, you know, their training. I don't know, but I'm just saying. But pretty much they do not like basically the instructions or the technical instructions given, because I watched the podcast with Noah, Lyles, and Fanbule, and people were saying Fanbule should be doing better than he did. He's a rocks, he's this, he's that. And listening to him, they were one of the ones who actually hit out against the armchair coaches and asking them to shut up because they don't know what the athletes go through. Pretty much he was having some sort of Achilles issues throughout the season, and he basically had to run through it. They were trying to manage it and so forth. And what they're saying is that some of these folks that talk, they don't know what the athletes go through. And Noah Lyles said he has a question that he asks people: what did I do today? What was my training like yesterday? So they're basically hitting out on the folks. But I think that it probably be a misconception, because the fans are so much fans. They're being what they are. They are doing what they should do. Yeah. And that is criticizing or giving instructions or, you know, some sort of technical advice, which they probably are not trained for. You know what I mean? And it is what these athletes are not in support of. So basically what they're saying, if you are this great coach, why aren't you able to produce a world athlete? Why aren't you able to, you know, bring an athlete to where they are? And they are even hitting out at the ones who coach at the high schools and so forth, because what they're saying, if you are such a good coach at the high school level, why not come to the senior level? And don't take it for granted that the high school and the seniors is similar. You know what I mean? So these athletes are really not pleased with some of the comments from the fans out there. But like I said before, fans will always be fans, and this is what they do. They support you wanting to make an impact, and this is how they believe that they make their impact. And I mean, some of the criticism are constructive, albeit, like Noah said, you don't really know what their training program is like. You don't know what they did. You don't know what they're working at that particular time. It is totally different for you to look at an athlete on a one-off run and see or conclude that they are not good or whatever. And it is oftentimes misjudged, because sometimes they are going through a lot. Even like Fred Curley, we understand that he was he was off doing endorsements last season, so he didn't get to put in a lot of work, and he was ostracized because of his lack of performance, according to some people. And it can be seen that he didn't put in a lot of training. And then the whole thing of athletes being injured, like Elaine Thompson era, person says she should quit, she done, and she should go back to Frano. And then when she come back at the latter part of the season and do well, the wagon full up again, you know what I mean? When you look at Johan Blake, people still saying that he should quit. And you don't know what really goes on in the mind of these athletes, what they face on a day-to-day basis. But I will simply say to these athletes, listen, fans will always be fans. And that is the duty of a fan, to actually criticize, to actually give their views. Is it technical views? Is it plausible views? You never know. Sometimes you might learn a thing or two from them. You know what I mean? So it's not always out there to dismiss, or it is always good for you to dismiss what the fans say. Sometimes two things you can do. You can listen and don't care what they have to say, or you decide not to listen. Because once you listen, you're going to hear something that is going to put you out of sorts, put your mind at a place where you get probably aggressive and stuff like that, and say all manner of evil against the fans. I sound like a scratch record. Fans will always be fans. You never get away from a fan being a fan, criticizing, even not knowing what takes place on the training ground. Yeah? So you'll never get away from that. So athletes, when the fans criticize you, that's what they do. Are they right? I'm not going to say that they're right, but it is their opinion that they're putting out there. This is the world era of social media. This is why social media is out there. People to give their views. Some views are not correct, I'm not saying. Some people really say some disparaging things about the athletes. I'm not in support of that. But at the same time, athletes have to be mindful. Get your mental space in a particular place where even if they say, you watch and they say, it will not affect you so much. Or if they say, you go and prove them wrong. So you decide if you want to listen or not. But don't come swinging, because people are going to watch and people are going to talk. You will never get away from that. Even the commentators on these big media houses, they comment, they give their feedback. How come you don't talk about them? You understand? So this is just my few cents on the whole athletes telling the armchair coaches to shut up. Is either you listen or you don't. Your thoughts, people. Until next time.